20th of September 1978, Prime Minister Mafebu Dlamini of the Kingdom of Swaziland and his party arrived in Seoul upon an invitation from Prime Minister Choi Kyu-ha of the Republic of Korea. Receiving Prime Minister Dlamini warmly at the airport are Korean Prime Minister Choi Kyu-ha, cabinet ministers, and members of the Foreign Diplomatic Corps in Seoul. The visiting Prime Minister and his party stay in the Chosun Hotel in the center of Seoul. On the second day of his visit to Korea, Prime Minister Dlamini pays homage to the memorial of unknown soldiers at the National Cemetery. Premier Dlamini then pays his respects to Mrs. Park Chung-hee, the late First Lady of Korea. Premier Dlamini now visits with Prime Minister Che at the capital and discusses economic cooperation and promotion of friendship between the two countries. Premier Mafebu Dlamini now pays a courtesy call on Speaker Chung Il-kwon at the National Assembly. The both leaders recognize the importance of international politics and pledge to direct efforts to the furtherance of cooperation between Swaziland and Korea. Speaker Chung Il-kwon then hosts a dinner in honor of the visiting Swaziland Premier. Meanwhile, Mrs. Victoria Dlamini visits the Children's Center funded by the late First Lady of Korea. At Ewha Women's University, President Kim Ok-il guides the visiting lady from Swaziland around the University Museum. Mrs. Dlamini then watches a dancing class for quite some time. Prime Minister Dlamini and his party now set out on an observation tour to forward areas. Upon arrival at the 1st Division, Premier Dlamini is warmly greeted by the division commander and the commanding general of the 1st Army of the Republic of Korea. One of the observation posts in the division, Premier Dlamini is briefed on the status quo and observes through a telescope northern territory of the divided country. Premier Dlamini and his party arrive at the Sejong Cultural Center to attend the dinner party and to watch Korean folk arts performances. At the center, Prime Minister Che hosts a dinner for the Swaziland Premier. The dinner is attended by leaders of the Korean government, ranking dignitaries, and members of the Foreign Diplomatic Corps in Seoul. Here, Premier Dlamini thanks the Korean people for a warm welcome extended to him and hopes that his visit to Korea would serve for a turning point in promoting amity and cooperation between the two nations. After dinner, Korea's traditional folk arts performances are presented at the Sejong Hall. the third day of his visit to Korea, Premier Dlamini of Swaziland discusses with Economic Planning Minister Namdok Woo joint investment and technical cooperation between Swaziland and Korea. In the meantime, Mrs. Dlamini visits National Museum and observes historic relics which reflect 5,000 years of Korean arts. Prime Minister Mafebu Dramini now pays a courtesy call on President Park Chung-hee. During the courtesy call, President Park awards the visiting Swaziland Premier the Order of Diplomatic Service Merit Grand Kwang Hwa Medal. The two leaders then exchanged views on matters of mutual interest. Meanwhile, Miss Park Geun-hye, daughter of President Park Chung-hee, meets with Mrs. Victoria Dlamini, wife of the visiting premier. Premier Dlamini and his party now leave Seoul on an industrial tour. Arriving in Ulsan, Premier Dlamini and his party visit Hyundai shipyard. The shipyard has built crude oil carriers in the 260,000-ton class and is capable of building 18 vessels of between 400 and 500,000-ton classes a year and of building vessels in the million-ton class. He then visits Hyundai Motor Plant, which has annual production capacity of 80,000 automobiles. Motor vehicles produced here are exported to 24 countries. The visiting premier and his party now visit Bulguksa Temple in Gyeongju. He observes the temple built in 535 AD and Tabo and Sakya pagodas standing in the temple compound. The Swaziland Prime Minister visits the Tumilai Park in Gyeongju. The Premier shows keen interest, especially over the historic treasures displayed in the Heavenly Horse tomb. On the fourth day of his visit to Korea, Premier Dlamini of Swaziland attends a dinner hosted by the director of Korea Trade Promotion Corporation. Folk art show is presented after the dinner. Winding up a 5-day state visit to Korea, Prime Minister Mafebu Dlamini of Swaziland and his party leave Korea amid well-wishers including Prime Minister Chae Kyu-ha, government leaders and members of the Foreign Diplomatic Corps in Seoul.